All right. Hello, everyone. So, I know that I said I was going to be working on Horizon this week or doing kind of a part two, and I want to come back to that. But I was upgrading Laravel Shift the other day, and I ran into something, and I thought, you know what? I need that. I want that. Let's build that. So, that happened yesterday relatively recently, so now I want to just go ahead and use the live stream to do that. So let me show you what I'm talking about here. So let's get this all fired up correctly. I think I was looking at Q. Yeah, so this is down within the Laravel framework. This Q class basically figuring out tries. So here's kind of an example of what was going on. So if we go like check worker, I've got this job that spawns up workers dynamically. And I think, let me bring up the refactor change that I made here. Let's annotate that and bring up the diff. Okay, so what it was tries attribute. These are new attributes added in Laravel 13, shifted automatically, refactored these, which was great. The issue is not so much the refactor, but it's the fact that now the property doesn't exist. And this is kind of one of those edge casey things where a lot of the times for these new PHP attributes in Laravel 13, it is backed by an underlying property. So this is just an alternative modern way to set that property instead of like cluttering up your class with a bunch of code. However, tries is just in the slim, tiny list of ones that actually aren't backed by a property. And so because of that, my test, which was trying to read the property, quit working. So what I ended up doing was killing the attribute and just like back off, making it a method. Because as you see in the underlying implementation within the framework, when it gets job tries, it attempts to read the attribute or property. And then if it doesn't exist, it looks for a method. The method gets a priority even if you had an attribute on it. So that's why I chose this. It was also symmetrical with back off. But that got me thinking after, that was the fix, but that got me thinking after the stream, like, it would be nice in my test if I just could have asserted that that attribute existed, you know, with the desired value, which is probably really all that this method is doing. So that's where we are. I want to take a look and see what this method does, and can basically this get attribute value method be turned into a PHP unit assertion that I can then do instead of the refactor I had to do. I could have just left what Shift provided and then changed my test to, instead of looking at the property, to just look at the attribute. Because I think as these attributes, as there's more, I mean, they're added every week. You know, dozens of them were added as part of Laravel 13. They started way back in Laravel 11, actually, with things like scope and so forth. They're clearly here to stay. They're the future. So I think an assertion like this would be helpful. So let's kind of see what this does. I know they use reflection, so let's figure that out. Okay, so this default attribute value, it gets a target. So how's this used? So target is the object itself. It looks for a string attribute class, a reference of the property name, and a potential default. Okay, interesting. Okay, so it reflects the class, fine, and then it gets the default properties. Okay, if it is set, reflect the class. So this reflects the job in this case, so our check worker. And then it gets default properties. Is that an array of default properties with the key being the name of the property and the, okay. So get default properties is the property itself, okay. Otherwise, reflect the okay, here we go, sorry. Okay, so first it's gonna get the property, and if the property exists, then it gives it priority. Okay, fine, so let's skip this part because we're not really interested in that part. We're interested in the attribute part, strictly. So we try to get the attribute, and if there are attributes, we return its value. We extract attribute value from the new instance. Okay, so we new up the attribute class. and extract attribute value while, okay, so do while reflection get parent class. Okay, so this, wow. Okay, so this goes up the inheritance chain and sees if it has. And if it has, does it have it? Does it have it? Okay, interesting. And then it returns. Extract attribute value, attributes new instance. Extract attribute value. Get object vars, properties, properties, reset properties. It gets all of them. Okay. How does that know? Try do while return. Target, property, or default. It never sets target here. Oh, target, okay. Default properties. Crazy. Otherwise attribute, otherwise, okay. So I'm not understanding. It gets a new instance. It gets a new instance. Extract attribute value. Get object vars. Gets the properties. An associative array of defined object. Okay, sure, fine. Reset. Does this give you the first? Ah, there it is. Set the internal pointer of it to its first array. Returns the value of the first array element. Okay, so it returns its first property. So the theory here is that all of these attributes in Laravel are singular attribute properties. There's no like comma, 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 comma kind of stuff. Read class attributes. Interesting. Okay. So let's bring up this check. I think I've learned what I needed to learn. Let's bring up like our pseudocode of like what we would expect here. So here's the example. I said assert same, subject tries. Now I converted that to the method. This used to be this, and of course it failed because tries property doesn't exist. So what I want to see is something like this assert attribute. Let's kind of see what we would want this to look like. So it's not attribute equals, that's not a real thing. So we would say assert attribute. Ideally, we would say something like tries. Where is this? Is Q attribute? Yeah, okay. So tries class. So we would say subject tries. And yeah, I think we would go ahead and say like assert attribute equals. And then, you would say 3. So I'm thinking something along those lines. I don't love it. But yeah, it's not my favorite. It's not my favorite. I'm trying to articulate what I don't like about it. First, I don't like the assertion name. Honestly, I think if I remember, I've been writing PHP a long time. I feel like that used to exist as a PHP unit name, so it's also not like descriptive enough. I don't want to say like, I know it used to exist in PHP unit, maybe not assert attribute equals, but I know they used to have like attribute assertions because they used to call properties attributes inside of the PHP unit framework. And so they've since gotten rid of those or deprecated them or something. So like, while attribute is probably the correct word, like unfortunately we probably need to like make this, a denser name, like like assert uses attribute or something, you know. It's like assert, yeah. And then it's like, do you want to say has attribute? Do you want to do equals? Do you want to do 17 variations of this assertion? Like, no. I think if anything, I would probably just go with this assert attribute. And then I would make this value optional. That's probably what I would do. That's probably what I would do. So let's just go down the rabbit hole. Let's go down the rabbit hole for a second. Let's add this method. We're just going to add it here for now. Check worker, string class, int, fine. I'm here in the chat. Let's see what's up. Hello, yes. All right, let's keep cranking here. So really we are going to do, we're not going to go up the reflection stack, to be honest. So like get parent class, what does this throw something or false? Okay, what throws? Get attributes? No. New instance? I think new instance maybe throws. No? What? I don't know why they have a try catch here. I'm going to borrow this. So what we're going to do is we're going to say reflection equals, yeah, reflection class subject. And then we're going to look for that. This takes a string. Yes, cool. And then instead of int here, we're going to drop that off and say argument, or we'll just call it value for now, I think. And instead, do we really, let's just pack this down. Do we need that to be like so many things? I don't think so. Let's just, and then instead, we're going to say if count attributes, object vars instance. So this becomes attribute 0 new instance. And here we would, let's just do something simple here, like assert equals, yeah. So expected is the value. For now, we'll just do that, and then what we'll do is we'll borrow this. This is very ugly code, but I think this packs it down to work. Okay, so we reflect subject, which in this case is our job. We're going to get its attributes. As long as it has attributes, we're going to assert equals. So really we would want to invert this. So let's invert the statement. So basically if there's no count, so if not count or it's empty, then here we would like, I think you can do like this fail. Yeah, we can do something like that. And then otherwise we'll get those properties and perform an assertion. So this, again, this is kind of like a makeshift assertion that's happening here. So let's run vendor, whoops. Why can't I type? Where are my keystrokes going? What the heck? I am somewhere where I don't know where I am. Okay, there we go. There we go, it caught up, kind of. I don't know why my terminal's not catching up. There we go. All right. Did I just like kill my stream? No, we're good. Is reflection checking objects and classes at runtime? Yes, it is. All right, cool. So let's do vendor bin PHP unit. Not that. Copy this. There we go. Okay. Attribute Q, okay, cool. So attribute wasn't found. That's correct because again, I've modified this class. So now we basically want to revert. We would want to revert this from yesterday. So how do I bring this back? No. I'll just copy this, whatever. Boom, boom. Save, okay. So that should go back to my original shift refactored to attributes version. Call to undefined method jobs. Okay. Hey. That means we passed. That actually means we passed because now it tried to go on to the next assertion, which is unnecessary at this point. I'm trying to get rid of this. All right, let's get out of reflection class. Let's bring this back down to just our stuff. Okay, cool. And then our test, if we go back to assert attribute. So really we don't do this anymore because we don't have that. So we should be green. And we are. Awesome. Okay, and so now let's make this something that it's not, like 2. There we go. Failed asserting that 3 matches expected 2. Awesome. Okay, so this works. It's pretty simple, but it works. Okay, so we reflect the class. We get its attributes. If it doesn't have the attributes, we're going to fail because it doesn't have the, it doesn't have the attribute you expected, so fail. And then otherwise we get all of its properties and we basically make sure that those 2 things are equals. Now, this only, again, right now this is somewhat limited to simple properties. This is somewhat limited to that. We could get a little weird and do something like this. So let me just demonstrate this. So does not match expected type integer. Where is that? Line 92. Oh, yes, it's a type. Okay, yes, actually that's fair. So what we would do here actually is we're supposed to compare apples to oranges, we would do something like this. Sorry. Let me bring in array wrap. Okay, so, yeah, we'd have to do like an array values here. Let's do array, values. I'm trying to set this up. Is there like a bot in the chat? You're just getting after it. Yeah, okay. So I did this little array wrapping dance to basically make sure that you could compare all properties. And of course we could give this like a better message, to say whatever, what we don't expect there. So yeah. So really what this becomes is, what I'm really trying to say here is this becomes arguments. So for this assertion, you would pass in the arguments that you expect or the values that you expect to be passed. You could pass them as an array to represent something that gets passed multiple properties or multiple things that are set on that attribute, or just the singular one, and we'll wrap it for you for convenience. And then we get array values and check that. So again, if I go back up here and make this 3, then this passes. I could also, pre-wrap it. It'd be really nice if I made it like variadic. Can I do that? Can I do that? Probably can. I wouldn't need to array wrap it then. Okay, that works. So let's go back up here. So what if I said like 3 and 1? Does this now say like 3 and 1 array? Yeah, it does. Okay. So basically, yeah, we can make it variadic. That might be a little cleaner. Yeah, and again, I could give this a custom message. So I'm gonna think on this a little bit, but I think just for the interest of like a short stream, like this works. What I will probably add this to, is, I think for now, just my Laravel test assertions, but honestly, like this, a version of this should exist in the PHP unit framework. Like Laravel's not the only thing that uses PHP attributes. Like how are people asserting on these, right? Like, anyway. Yeah, okay. So I think what I want to do, let's bring up Chrome, or well, let's just take this. Let me bring this over to the package that it's ultimately going to be part of. So let's go to let's cd Laravel test assertions. Git checkout master, I think. Yeah, git pull. So it goes here. All right, cool. And then let's go back here to Laravel test. Do I have test assertions on here? Test? I do not. I do not. Okay. Well, anyway, I think all I'm ultimately saying is I'm going to copy this, put it in the Laravel test assertions package that I have. So if we go to composer.json, you can see I've got this Laravel test assertions package. So basically, add it there and then bump that thing to 210. At least it gives it to me immediately. Again, I really feel like this assertion should exist, but when I searched PHP unit or Laravel for that matter, like it doesn't. So I think I'm going to start with this and I'll just document it there. And again, hopefully maybe someone adds one, because I really think it should be part of PHP unit, to be honest. Like, again, this is modern PHP. This is an assertion that gets used. I don't know. I'm sure there's a reason why it's not, like Sebastian doesn't have it in there or something, but like, I feel like it should be. So anyway, all right. Thanks everybody for joining live. Next Wednesday, I'll try to get back to the Horizon stuff unless I get nerd sniped by some other thing I want to build. All right. See y'all then.